That is the point of being alive. It is to learn, it is to explore, it is to feel, it is to be human. It is not to be stuck playing it safe. Welcome back. It's Patrice Washington. And around here, we don't just talk about wealth from the lens of money and material possessions. We talk about it from the original definition, the 12th century definition, which says it's about well-being and happiness. And I can tell you something that did not make me happy for many years. When my daughter was little, I remember when people would insinuate that I was chasing the wrong dream. They would say things like, "Don't you think you're gone too much? Do you really need to be out on the road speaking? Shouldn't you be baking cookies and volunteering at the school instead of trying to do all this other stuff you're doing?" And for me, even as I talk about it now, my daughter is 18 years old now. What I felt like at that time was people were asking me to kill my dream of being America's money maven so that I could fit into their version of what a good mom looks like. That's the thing about reputation. It can become the number one dream killer because we are so busy and so committed to protecting how people see us that we are willing to risk losing who we actually are. And if it wasn't motherhood for you, maybe it's your reputation at work or at church. Maybe people told you not to start that business because you would look foolish if you failed. Or maybe it was friends and family saying you should stay humble instead of shining too bright. Whatever the situation is, reputation has a way of crushing your dreams. And as I was reading my good friend Rachel Luna's book, Permission to Offend, it is our book club choice currently in the Redefining Wealth app. Chapter 7 talks about risking your reputation. And I just want to weave in some of Rachel's brilliant work with some of my own thoughts in today's episode, because we're going to cover three things: what reputation really is and how it could be holding you hostage and keeping you from being able to dream a new dream, why surrendering the shoulds, you know, the shoulds, all the things that you feel like you should have accomplished by this age, by this stage, by this point in life, and facing your real fears is the only way you are going to break free, and how that risking that reputation is actually the key to unlocking the reward of alignment and freedom and peace and joy and fulfillment that you desire. So if you've ever felt like I did, like you had to be torn between who people expected you to be and who you know you're called to be, then this episode is definitely for you. And we're going to dive right in right after the affirmation of the week, which this season we are referring to as permission slips in honor of my girl, Rachel. This week's permission slip is: I give myself permission to risk what others think about me. I release the weight of shoulds and the expectations that keep me small to make others happy with me. I choose alignment over approval and peace over performance. I trust that what is meant for me can never be lost by me, and I honor my true identity, even when it means risking my reputation. Declare with me today: I give myself permission to risk what others think about me. All right, so let's dive in. I want to start with this idea of reputation because we've all heard the sayings. We've heard the sayings that it takes years to build a good reputation and only seconds to destroy it. And we've heard that your reputation precedes you. I grew up going to the John Wooden Classic in California and Los Angeles. And I remember this quote: be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is who you really are. Your reputation is what others think you are. That's the quote that I really lean into when I think about reputation, because the one that says that it takes years to build it up and only seconds to destroy, I believe is why so many people have a problem dreaming a new dream. While reputation has its value, the thing is, when we only live for reputation alone, what we're saying is we are a prisoner to other people's perceptions, because reputation is what they say, but identity and authenticity is about who you know yourself to be. Many people never give themselves permission to try something new, to dream a bigger dream, to start over, to fail, to be a student, to be curious, because reputation doesn't let them. Reputation won't let you be radically honest about what you really want, what you need, what you desire. So instead of being radically honest, we stay dishonest, which allows us to stay stuck and spiraling in these cycles and pretending that it's about confusion. Something I said at Redefining Wealth Live this year was, you're not stuck, you're not confused, you are dishonest. And if we're radically honest, what we are afraid of is giving up how other people perceive us, what other people believe to be true about us, how we want to be seen in their eyes, even though we will get in the mirror and not even recognize ourselves, even though that same reputation has put us in these suites or these homes or these lives where we don't see ourselves anymore. We see the label, we see the title, we see mom, we see wife, we see manager, we see corporate executive, we see insert any number of labels and titles, and we don't even see ourselves anymore. We don't see the things that give us joy. We don't see the things that light us up. We don't see the things that used to excite us even when we were young and we would think about our lives. Reputation won't let us be radically honest about that anymore. Reputation doesn't always reflect the truth of the vision and the future that we see for ourselves. And so I'm definitely not advocating that we just go out and ruin our reputation, but I want us to know that sticking to that reputation over honoring our radical honesty is a dream killer. And I believe it is the number one dream killer that people don't talk about. We talk about so many things under the sun, and we don't talk about how like beholden we are to the reputation that other people have of us. And so that leads me to my first point, just about giving yourself permission to surrender the shoulds. How many times have you heard yourself thinking about and processing a certain situation through the lens of what you should have done? I should be happy. I should have gone in this direction. I should be okay with this. Many of us should on ourselves and beat ourselves up about why we're not showing more gratitude for where we are, for what we have, for what we've accomplished, for what we now possess, even though we are grieving what we genuinely desire and where we really want to go and the life we really want to live. This is where surrender comes in. Rachel says peace comes only when you surrender. So when we risk the reputation, we get to surrender the shoulds. We get to surrender the I should be further along by now. I should look more polished. I should just play the role they expect of me. The thing is, though, the shoulds aren't the truth. The shoulds are traps. That is the way that you stay in a life that does not feel good and does not fulfill you. The only way we get free is by addressing what we're actually afraid of, because fear is not about the action itself. I believe, and Rachel talks about this in Permission to Offend, the real fear is the judgment of the outcome. We're not afraid to start the business or apply for the opportunity or have the conversation. What we're afraid of is what happens if we do. Like, if we get what we want, does that mean we're going to lose something we already have? That is what we're afraid of. That is what is killing the dream. Actually, I did a live just recently in the Redefining Wealth app, and one of my clients turned faculty members, Evelyn, was talking about how radical honesty and a lot of the concepts that we talk about in the app and just in the community really were a blessing to her marriage. And she said in the comments, I was afraid that radical honesty would make me lose my marriage, but instead it brought us closer together. It created a better relationship. When you surrender the should, I should just be happy with the relationship I have. When you're willing to lose, not that you want to, not that you will, but when you're willing to lose, it means that you are willing to detach from the reputation associated with this is who I am as a wife. This is what I have to be as a mother. This is what it has to look like as a Christian, as a this, as a that. When you can release that and just sit with, but what do I really want? What is my dream actually? And get radically honest about it. The fear is that you're going to lose everything that you already have. But what if everything you have can get sweeter because you're willing to be radically honest? Because you're willing to, as Rachel says, risk the reputation. Here's what I know. Not every season calls for a mastermind, and that's okay. Transformation doesn't always have to come at a steep price. Sometimes what you need most is guidance, community, and giving yourself permission to lean into a proven framework to help you create real alignment in your life. That's exactly why I created the Institute for Redefining Wealth. Inside, you'll learn to live by the 6 pillars of wealth, get access to my monthly trainings, which are taught live, study halls that happen with our faculty for redefining wealth, and office hours with me where I spotlight coach you for the benefit of the entire group. You'll be surrounded by people who are like-hearted and on the same journey toward authenticity, alignment, and abundance from all over the world. If you know you're ready to grow and you want a space that's accessible but still deeply transformational, not just pre-recorded modules, but live touch from real coaches, then the Institute was designed with you in mind. You can learn more at redefiningwealth.institute. That's redefiningwealth.institute. It has been reimagined and relaunched and is so good. You need to see this. redefiningwealth.institute. In the book, Rachel has this matrix she calls the all outcomes matrix. And this is where you can start to ask better questions, as we say, right? You do the all outcomes. If I actually pursue my dream, if I'm willing to risk my reputation and pursue my dream, let me write out all the different scenarios. Let me write out all the different scenarios. And I think in my book, I talk about this as writing the worst case scenario, because our brains are always trying to process every little thing that could happen. It wants to keep you safe, right? But it's also going to lean into what is most familiar as opposed to the discomfort of the unknown, because going after your dream and going after a new vision will require some things that you don't know. You're going to have to take a step and just believe, right? And trust. So a way that you can actually help yourself move forward is to do Rachel's all outcomes matrix. And essentially what you're doing is you're writing out all these different scenarios. What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? What's the most likely in between? Most of the time, what we're afraid of isn't even a real scenario. It's a story that we've created. And even if the worst happens, in most circumstances, it's not something that is going to kill you. It might kill your ego a little bit, but for many of us, it's going to shape you. One of my favorite things to say is I take no L's, no losses, just lessons. And because I believe that, it allows me to constantly be taking steps forward. Constantly be taking steps forward. Does everything work out perfectly? No. Oh, I wish I could tell you it did. No, everything doesn't always work out perfectly, but I'm always making progress. I'm always moving through the process. I'm not standing still, coulda, shoulda, woulda, shooting on myself, wishing I had done something else. I'm making steps in that direction and I'm learning lessons as I go. And guess what? That is living. That is the point of being alive. It is to learn. It is to explore. It is to get curious. It is to interrogate. It is to question. It is to feel. It is to be human. It is not to be stuck playing it safe, not experiencing the dreams that are on your heart, not going after the vision because you want to protect someone else's opinion or idea or belief about you. This is where we have to know who we are and what we are, why we are for ourselves, so that we're not worried about what other people believe about us. I am so grateful that I did not let the women who I don't even know at this point, right? From Reagan's middle school years, her elementary school years, her pre-K years, should on me. I did not let their opinions of me. And you may say, well, they were strangers. Even in my family, I had people that should on me. Shouldn't you stay? Shouldn't you calm down? Shouldn't you do this? Shouldn't you do that? But I knew what my dream was. And the more I took steps in that direction, the more the resources and the people were coming like into alignment with that decision. I believe that when we make a decision for our dream, everything in our lives rise up to support us in going in that direction. And had I stopped to satisfy this idea of what other people may have seen as a good mom, I couldn't have given myself permission, one, to be of service in the way that I became. 5 books later, a podcast, 8 years, 20 million downloads, a award-winning show on PBS, the community that I've built, all the retreats, the events that we do, how we serve people, how we brought relationships together, not just romantic relationships, but how mothers and daughters are communicating better, and people are being restored and their visions are being restored. All of that came from my obedience to ignore the shoulds. And for those of you who don't know me and you may be wondering, well, what happened to the daughter? Guess what? I just checked her into college at the time of this recording a week ago. She just moved into her freshman dorm. She graduated with honors. She has an athletic scholarship to play flag football. She also is a photographer and a film director. She also coaches other young girls to play flag football. She literally believes that because she watched her mom do these things, have a great relationship with her and be present in her presence, but also go out and command the stage and take her purpose to platform and do television and radio and write books and all these things. Today, at this age, you cannot tell my daughter that she cannot thrive in school and also do any and everything else she wants to do. She literally just finished shooting a spread for Sports Illustrated just 2 weeks ago. This is what's possible when we don't allow the shoulds, when we surrender the shoulds and don't let that kill our dream, when we don't lean into what other people think the reputation should be. Oh, you need to do this, or you need to be that, and you should have been there reading the books every week. I read the books when I could read the books. But a part of the mandate on my life was to go write the books, 5 of them actually. That was the mandate on my life. And that's what I leaned into. And as I wrote one, God kept showing me the next and showing me the next and giving me the next opportunity. I call it giving God something to bless. The path kept widening, doors kept opening, things kept shifting, things kept growing. But the number one dream killer that no one talks about is your ability to risk the reputation, to release the reputation, to surrender the title, to let go of the label, and really tap in to what you were brought here to do. Let me ask you, how do you know which part of your life is actually keeping you from the results you say you want? Most people guess, and then they wonder why they're still stuck. But that's why I created the Pillar Progress Assessment. It helps you identify which of the 6 pillars of wealth need your attention right now, so you can stop spinning your wheels and finally move forward in alignment. I also go deeply into the building blocks that build that pillar, so you know exactly what your next steps should be. Take the assessment now at patricewashington.com/pillar assessment. That's patricewashington.com/pillar assessment, or click the link in the show notes and get your next steps to greater authenticity, alignment, and abundance in order. There is a reward. There is a reward for allowing yourself to risk the reputation. And we can not only look at this through the lens of what we lose. I need you to see this through what you gain. When you give up external validation, which is what Redefining Wealth is all about. From the inception in 2017, this podcast has been about sparking ideas and thoughts and conversations so that you can release external validation and learn to trust your internal intuition. Learn to just not lean on self-awareness, but lean into soul awareness. It is that internal conviction. That is where you gain momentum. That is how you move your ignited, aligned vision forward. That is how you get to practice radical honesty and know that it doesn't have to be mean, that you can be honest and leave people with their dignity. The reward is your freedom. The reward is your curiosity. The reward is is your vision, right? The reward is the adventure. The reward is getting to live, because so many of us are alive, but we're not living. We're not living. We're letting the dreams be crushed. We're letting the dreams die. We're letting the dreams go to the grave, which, is Miles Monroe says, is the richest place. The richest place is the graveyard, because that's where all the best dreams, all the best productions, all the best books and podcasts, all of the notes in your phone, all of the notepads all around you, that's where it goes to die, because you are more concerned with your reputation. You are more concerned about what will they think and what will they say. This is the conversation I have with clients in so many forms over and over again. And you can disguise it any way you want. You can make it sound really noble. You can dress it up. You can say, but my kids deserve this. And that is your choice. That is your choice. But the truth is, you may be shitting on yourself and you don't even know. You may be creating a story that the only way for you to be the good mom, or the only way for you to be the good daughter, or the only way for you to be the responsible adults in the group is to kill your dream in favor of protecting a reputation that doesn't even serve you anymore. I know that the work of surrendering the shoulds is not easy to do alone. This is why I walk alongside my clients, whether it's in Mastery Momentum or one-on-one coaching, to support them as they become more confident in risking the reputation so that they can step into deeper alignment. Because that's where freedom is. That's where joy is. That's where alignment is, right? The greatest gift of my life is my daughter, Reagan. It is not being America's Money Maven. It is not being on an award-winning show on PBS, Opportunity Knocks. It is not the client love, which I love my clients and I'm so grateful for everything that I've done and what I get to do in the world. But the greatest gift is my daughter, Reagan. And you can hear her episode. She was on the podcast back in May as she was preparing for high school graduation. And I have to say, watching her flourish and be compassionate and brilliant and kind and generous and humorous and like just who she is, I can honestly say that I am so grateful that I surrendered other people's opinions, even some of the ones that I tried to create, even the box that I tried to get into in her early life, where I thought that motherhood should look a certain way. I'm so grateful that I let that go so that my daughter could have an example of authenticity and alignment, so that she could know what was possible for her, what is possible for her, so that she could live a different life than the lives that I typically have to coach my clients in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s out of. As a mom, I can say being able to model that for her and live that legacy for her was, I believe, and is, I believe, the greatest thing, the greatest gift that I could give her. And I want more of us to stop succumbing to this idea that anything we desire can only look one way, should only look one way. We need to surrender the shoulds. Because when we liberate ourselves, as I heard Glennon Doyle say, when we liberate ourselves, we liberate others. And I definitely want to liberate the women around me, my community, my clients, my friends, my sisters, right? But especially the liberation that my daughter gets to live from today. I love that for her. And I love that I was willing to start that work against the ideas, thoughts, opinions, and validation of others. So, how about you? Where in your life are you protecting a reputation instead of living your actual identity, living from authenticity? What shoulds have you been carrying that you really want to surrender? You are ready to put them down. Because if you're honest, your soul is exhausted. Your soul is so tired of trying to get your attention and trying to get you to move in one direction but you keep going, but I should be over here, but I should do it this way, right? Your soul is tired. And a third question, if you really let go of what other people think, what freedom or curiosity or adventure might open up for you? These are not rhetorical questions. These are real questions. I would love to hear your answers. I would love to have a conversation with you. Download the Redefining Wealth app. It is completely free on your Android or iOS device. There are over 3,000 purpose chasers currently in that community from all over the world. And at the time of this recording, I still go live every day where I share my thoughts there first and flesh it out before I even bring things to the podcast. And then there's tons of things that will never make the podcast, but they're brilliant conversations that we have as a community. And you are welcome to come. But join us. We're still in the book club for Rachel Luna's Permission to Offend. Grab your copy wherever books are sold and come on in. It is absolutely brilliant. Today, I was inspired by chapter 7, which was Risk the Reputation. And I hope that you are inspired to risk the reputation that no longer serves you, right? So come share your story, your breakthroughs. You don't have to risk your reputation alone. You get to walk this out with an amazing community, and we would welcome you. So until next week, listen, I'm Patrice Washington. Find me at Seek Wisdom PCW on Instagram, or you can join me on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, Patrice Washington. And until next week, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever feeling like you have to chase money. We'll talk to you later.